Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Paint Desk Ramblings. I'm joined tonight by a returning guest. It's the host of Hammertime and the editor of the Nice Scroll, or the Ninth Scroll. It's Henry P. Miller.
Nice
It is a nice scroll. I'm also joined by. Yeah, happy to have you. We're also joined by a good friend of mine and a YouTuber of old. It's Dweller from the North.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you. So maybe some of the veterans of the hobby scene here, if you have any Swedish listeners, particularly, I think, might recognize him. And if they do, they will also be aware that I'm going to issue a little warning here at the start. So this episode may contain some swearing. Parental guidance is advised.
I'm not that bad, am I?
I do remember you used the occasional swear words during your battle reports.
Yeah, it's known to happen. I'll try to contain myself.
No, it's fine. We have the warning now, so it's fine.
I have the heart of an angel, the mouth of a sailor. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your channel.
At the moment, quite inactive, but I'm actually working on getting it up and running again. Been quite a lot to do in real life, so hard to manage a channel and everything else. But yeah, mainly it's focused on battle reports with Sylvan Elves. Gonna try to change that as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it.
And there you also hinted as to why you were invited to this show, because we will be talking about Sylvan Elves this episode.
Yeah.
So this is another faction focus episode. I'm doing a little series, hopefully gonna touch upon every single faction in due time. So we'll be looking at the background, the rules, and the miniatures to give an overall view of the faction, possibly a bit helpful to new players who are interested in the hobby and want to figure out what faction they want to play as and collect and paint and all of that. But before we get into that, we have the hobby spotlight. So what's on your desks, gentlemen?
Do I go first?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So just to get the shameless plug out of the way first, we just the Amazon podcast just started a painting log on the user blog section, where we're putting everything that we talk about on the show and more onto the painting log, so that you guys at home can see what we're talking about. And we also started a Twitter account recently as well, so you can now follow us on Twitter. And I think the handle is Hammertime DK, if you want to find us on Twitter. Yep. But I am currently doing a commission, which is a Reaper model that I'm converting for my buddy Dashy Al. See it? A Cthulhu squid monster.
Yeah.
That I've repositioned.
So I'm gonna guess that's gonna be a Forsaken one.
Exactly.
No, his army.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Forsaken one for Warriors of the Dark Gods.
Yeah. Looks
I'm
awesome.
just letting it dry, and I'm also working on a Doomlord, which I converted from a Mercia Miniatures model.
Yeah. Nice.
And that's what I'm painting right now.
Yeah. So I'll put the Twitter handle down below in the show notes, and also a link to Pierre's YouTube channel. So what are you up to then?
I am currently painting some infernal dwarves.
Who is?
Been lying on the shelf for like a gazillion years unpainted. So I got when the new book came, I got a bit tired of it. So I'm trying to like speed paint it, the army, on like a week or maximum 2 weeks.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, hopefully it will just it won't be like the best paint job I've ever done, but it will be another army. It's also with the channel in mind, so I do get some variety. I don't think people only want to see Sylvan Elves matches, best reports.
Always good to have some variety. And working on that speed muscle is also great. I mean, not everything has to be painted up to the highest standard possible.
No, that's a lesson I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, same here. I started my Vermin Swarm army with that project and pretty much failed. So I'm gonna try again with some Undying Dynasties down the road. So when I get the Kickstarter delivery.
Yeah,
so.
you're doing worse than I am.
Which Kickstarter did you jump in on?
The Watchful Eye Studios Terracotta Kickstarter.
Awesome.
That's a good-looking one.
Yeah,
Are
really.
you going to theme it in any way, or are you just going to have it how it is?
Pretty much how it is. So I'm just gonna lean into the whole terracotta aspect.
Cool.
So that's the plan. For the moment, though, I'm working on some shields for my Empire Zornstall army or my swordman unit. Unfortunately, you guys can't see it, but the audience can. But they are fresh from the airbrush booth with a little fade from top to bottom, so I'm doing some edge highlighting at the moment. I will go through them, painting the decal on top and all of that. So very simple painting, but it's excellent for this type of show. Won't be too distracting, I hope. So the shields are from Fireforge games. So they are resin shields with a printed charge on them, many to choose from, and a few different shapes and sizes in the set. So very happy with that purchase, and I think it's gonna look quite good on the unit.
So they'll all have the same design on the shield?
Yeah, they do.
But I guess they come in different shapes.
Yes.
The shields themselves.
So they are all like, I think it's called like tower shield, perhaps. Maybe not. Like the standard knight shield, I would say.
Like a kite shield.
Kite, yeah, that's the right term. Thank you. But they a little bit varying shapes and sizes. I think some of them are more like the almond shape shields, though. So with the rounded edges at the top. This one for the audience. But yeah, they're good. I like them. So yeah, that's Hobby Spotlight, I guess. Though I think I might have interrupted you, Dweller. The models that you're working on, Infernal Dwarfs, where are the actual sculpts from? And
They are from Forge World, actually. Yeah. The good old, it's not the good old classic ones. The good old classic ones are the big top hats and mighty beards. But yeah, I actually acquired this army like, it must be like 5-6 years ago or something. I just saw the Forge World miniatures and fell in love with them right away. Read some books about it. But yeah, I just wanted an army with those miniatures, so I bought them all these years later.
Yeah. No, they look good. They are those like the faceless masks of the Forge World, I guess. So those are some really nice miniatures.
Yeah, I was gonna call it the full helm masks or they're very armored.
Yeah.
Cameras.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing those on the table. Well, I'm sure.
I can't even see it
How
myself.
did you find the new book?
Yeah, we'll skip on to the news, and we'll go on to the big news right away. So the Infernal Dwarfs.
Yeah. The new book. Yeah, I found it actually very interesting.
Yeah.
I actually tried that game.
Are you walking away from your microphone, Dweller? Because we can't really hear you now.
Better now?
Yeah, that's better.
I'm wondering if my computer is screwing things up again. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah, good. No, as I said with the Infernal work, it's like, yeah, I just realized to test things out, and everything worked as good as I thought it would, which is really unusual. But yeah, there's a lot of powerful options to use. Especially, I think Immortals probably will get some kind of nerf. They're just crazy good.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I agree. But let's see. Time will tell.
Yeah, all the other stuff is like, yeah, it was really good, good rules and everything, and seems really powerful. But I think they actually pointed at the right spot, so everything is kind of expensive. So you can get everything you want to get. So you'll have you'll have good stuff, but you'll not have that much of it.
Yeah, that sounds.
So it's really an elite army in that sense.
Sounds about right. So one thing that I quite liked about the new book is this what's it called, the Fires of Industry rule.
Yeah.
That it limits your war machines, basically your heavy artillery shooting. And
yeah.
usually this kind of limit is done through a percentage cap, which is fine in most armies. Though one thing that I noticed about this limit, that it has one advantage. It doesn't scale it as well as a percentage cap. So a big army that's not a grand army, where this limit would be doubled, will have quite few war machines. And a small army that's not a warband will have a lot of war machines, or will be able to at least. But for the Infernal engine, they can easily make it so that it's not the whole cost of the engine that counts towards the limit. It was that way in the old Infernal Dwarf book as well, where only the upgrade to the shrapnel gun counted towards the war machine limit.
Yeah.
But I think this is quite an elegant solution to that problem, and you can really judge the artillery piece by its shooting capacity instead of just its cost quite easily.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really like the Fires of Industry.
So what's your thoughts, Henry?
I think I like the Fires of Industry, as you say. I think it's a really good way of doing it. But I think it does make it quite complicated. Like I tried to write a list myself to see how much you could really fit in, and just get an idea of what the list will be like. And I found it really difficult to actually write a list. Like I had to make like a chart with the Fires of Industry and the Engines of Destruction or whatever they're called, and then like a points one. So there's like three different categories that you have to be aware of, and I found it actually quite difficult to write a list.
Yeah.
I think for a new person that might be quite hard.
Yeah. But in all honesty, I think it's hard to write if you don't have like a like Battle Scribe or a list builder tool. It is hard from the beginning to write a list.
Yeah.
Even only with the percentages. And there's obviously always this huge caps on models and caps on the number of units you can take and stuff like that. So it will always be something more than just the points.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, but yeah, I understand. Without a list building tool, it's another dimension of complication. But with a list building tool, it's just going to be a number that you will have to just make sure it's legal. So with a list building tool, I don't think it will be that more complicated.
No, hopefully New Recruit or Battlescribe can work it out.
Yeah, New Recruit has already fixed it, I believe. I made a list there yesterday, so
Okay.
it was actually really easy. So I think it will work just fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So if anyone's struggling,
Yeah.
then New Recruit is the place to go.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So overall, I think we're quite happy with this book. I'm glad to see that it's out. I'm sorry to see that it's released without its fluff. Would have liked that a lot better, but I understand that there was some issues with the layout, so they decided to just release the slim book in advance.
Yeah, I think it was an issue with the amount of art and the general layout itself.
Yeah. I think the person in charge of the layout got some real life issues that made him unable to work on this release.
That tends to make things a bit more difficult.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it's out for sure. But we weren't completely starved for fluff though, because they did release a second fluff supplement. I'm not sure what to call it, like the.
It was the Epic of Kibitesh.
Yes, so it's like a bit like the Circling the Abyss, a book completely dedicated to the fluff.
All right, I actually missed that.
If you want to hear about it, you can go to Amazon's latest episode. We did a full reading and view of the background.
Then so I shall. Definitely.
Excellent to hear. I've only managed to have a quick glance at it, read the first 2 tablets, I think, and I think it looks really interesting. It's like
It's actually really good. I really enjoyed it.
It seems to be quite comical in a way. So it draws a lot upon the like legalistic aspect of the Infernal Dwarfs and the bureaucratic aspect of them, which is quite fun. So I look forward to giving that a proper read soon. So yeah, there's that. There's also one more release that came out like 2 days ago, I think. The Advanced Magic supplement. Though I haven't had a minute to spare to look at that at all, so I'm hoping that either of you have a look.
I have not.
What about you, Henry?
I've been all hands on deck trying to get the Infernal Wars to work on the battlefield the last couple of days.
I did have a quick read through yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
It's quite fun. It's definitely like an extension or an expansion to the Magic phase. Each path has 2 new spells, and there's like a new mechanic for the way that the veil is, whether it's thick or thin. And if the veil is thin, then there's lots of magic flowing into the world. So the spells and items that you can get, they increase in power. And if the veil is thick and there's not much magic coming into the world, then the items decrease in power and sometimes have a negative effect.
Oh. Okay.
Right.
Sounds
I
interesting.
I thought it was something more for. I wouldn't class it in the same thing as like an auxiliary army book, but it looks interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping to
I
be
need
able
to take a look at that.
to try that out as well. I think that the magic phase in the Ninth Age is really good, but there is still a lot of room for improvement, and I think they can really improve a lot in the direction of making it more crazy and strange. I think.
At least for non-tournament games.
Yeah, I can understand that the tournament players want to keep it a bit more predictable.
A bit more balanced. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
think for me this rule set it was fairly balanced
yeah,
and predictable, but it was just I think it would be a little complicated if you hadn't played it before.
yeah,
And it's much easier to kind of say, okay, well, here's my Mark army, and these guys are horse archers, and they have like a faint flight rule where they can shoot, and people can kind of appreciate that.
yeah. It's more tangible in a way.
Yeah, but when you're kind of saying, okay, well, this is like a weird mechanic for the magic, and it works like this, and then you have to kind of explain it and read it a few times, and you don't really know the implications of that when you're
Yeah,
playing if you've never experienced it before.
for sure. I did play at a tournament though where they used the the special flax cards at a few of the tables. That worked
Yeah,
really well because that is also very easy to pick up. You just instead of your normal flax cards, use these, and then all the
yeah,
information is on each flax card instead.
yeah. I've also run a tournament where we used the crazy veil magic thingy,
Yeah,
and that was quite easy because everyone knows how it works. It's just more magic dice and like more harsh miscast.
yeah. So I guess this is a bit of an expansion to that idea. Uh, so yeah, looking forward to giving that a look.
Did you change anything with the veil tokens? Because that's one thing I like the mechanic a lot, but especially as a Sylvan Elves player, you don't have that many uses for the veil tokens except they're just lying there and you're hoping to get 3 to get another dice in the magic phase. It would be cool to have like a bit more of functionality with them that can do a bit more stuff.
I'm not too sure. As I said, only had a quick flick through, but I think it worked in the same way.
All right.
My biggest wish with the whale tokens is that they should up the amount you can store, like generally to 4. That's my simple wish about the magic phase. Because if you can store 4 tokens, it becomes much more of a choice. Now
Yeah,
you only have the choice to either store or not store when you get exactly um, three tokens left.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
But if you
Yeah.
have 4 tokens left, then if you're storing, then you're gonna have to throw one away, and you don't want to do that. So instead, you're gonna take that extra die this turn.
yeah. Maybe it could be a magic item,
Yeah, there are quite a few magic items that mess with this, but a general magic item could be a good approach indeed.
like a common one rather than a.
Yeah. Um, or like an extra effect on one of the magic items that we have. Maybe the Talisman of the Void could do that. You get an extra
Or it could
token.
be on the flux card itself, like a magic phase where you get a lot of veil tokens.
Yeah,
You're allowed to store one more.
yeah, that could be good too. So I think they can mess around a lot more with that mechanic of storing veil tokens to make it more interesting and more of a choice.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that release. I have one more piece of news. Um, let's see here. No, I'm confused. Here we go. It's a new miniature company that's supporting the Night Age. It's called Dragon's Cave Miniatures. So they are doing a Kickstarter soon, and their business model is making 3D printed tokens for the game, both Night Age and other games, it seems. So they have a few different tokens for the different magic paths available for on the Kickstarter. So I'm gonna link that down below, and you can check it out. It looks quite interesting, into tokens and such.
Yeah, sounds quite nice.
So and yet another 3D printing company. They are
It's the future in it.
yeah, they are popping up all over the place, it seems. But it makes sense.
I do have more and more friends that actually have 3D printers, and yeah, I have difficulty imagining it's not like how it's gonna look in the future. It's so much simpler and it's so much cheaper for like everything.
Yeah, definitely. Was that your cat that made a sound?
Yep, the one and only.
During the show.
My cat is like a demon cat. She's not a normal cat. I can tell you that.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to have her on as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for those of you that have watched some of my bat reps, they will know exactly. She always comes up and makes a lot of noise when I try to record something.
give me attention.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think that will round out the news section, and we can move on to the main topic, if you don't have any objections.
No, sure, go for it.
Go crazy.
So for the audience, we will I'll tell you the setup. You should already be aware of this, but we'll look at the background of the setting, and we'll each make a few picks of the background that we want to highlight, and we'll talk about them. Then we'll look at the rules and do a good, bad, and gem review. We'll each make a few picks, explain why we put them in that category, and then finally we'll just do some picks for model companies that we find interesting, and kits and things like that, where you can get nice models for this army.
Yeah.
So that's the planet list. I think usually I let the guests go first on each section, but I think I'm gonna go first on the background section, if that's all right with you.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
for it.
Because I want to talk. My first pick is gonna be the history of the Sylvan Elves and generally the whole elven species, really. So the elves, just like pretty much every species in the Ninth Age, were enslaved by the Saurians in the First Age, and then they rebelled, and supposedly the elves were very had a leading figure in this rebellion. So they broke free and scattered around the world. It seems though that most of the elves settled in the forests, particularly the one in Vetia, Viskan, the big forest there, and their culture started developing. In the Second Age then, much later I think, the elves started migrating out of the forest, and the source that we have for this is it's in the Ninth Scroll. It's a mad hermit, he's called. So it's not that super reliable about what happened here. But it seems to coincide with the world hymn, so maybe we can trust it some at least. But what happened is that the elves started migrating out and built towers and boats and started sailing the oceans. And some of them eventually found the White Islands, Khalida Ablan, and settled those. And those elves that migrated out became the Highborn Elves, and those that remained in the forest became the Sylvan Elves. So they represent the oldest culture of the elves, which I think makes sense. They are the more primitive elves, I guess. Though some might take offense at that.
I don't think you should view them as like a primitive elf, but they definitely have more affinity to the natural orders of things and the natural cycles and things like that. They're more in tune with nature.
A bit more primal.
Yeah. So I think one more thing that I want to say about the history is that the elves that sailed away, the Highborn elves, they came back and tried to like rule over these primitive ancestors of theirs, and they didn't quite like that. And they also gave logging rights of the forest to the dwarfs. So the dwarfs went into the forest and started chopping down woods, and the Sylvan elves became mad at that and killed all the dwarfs, and so the dwarfs became angry at just elves in general because they didn't care to make a difference between the Sylvan and the Highborn elves. So that their action there started like the animosity between all of these three factions, like way back in the Second Age. So yeah, I think that's what I have to say about their history. You have anything you want to add?
I think you kind of covered the basics, definitely, of the Sylvan Elves. And how do you think this compares to what we're maybe more used to in the Games Workshop background?
I wasn't that into the Elven background, but I think I seem to recall that the Highborn Elves were the oldest Elven faction there. Yeah. So
in Games Workshop fluff, it's more like, in my opinion, it's quite Tolkien-ish, with the Highborn Elves being the oldest and the most advanced and everything. While the Woodles were just, they were a bit younger, they were a bit more primal, a bit more savage. So yeah, I actually really like the flip around in this one.
Yeah,
me too. I think it works much better.
It makes sense, I think. For sure. And I think one issue with elves often in fantasy setting is this stagnant nature of them. Like they are the oldest race, and they are in some ways the most conservative and restrictive race. They haven't made much technological advancement in these thousands of years that they have lived. And this sort of hints that there is at least some advancement and such in the culture, that they have evolved and differed and expanded out of their more primitive ways.
Yeah, I think as well. It doesn't say this in the background, but you can assume that with the expansion of the Highborn onto Cleda Adelan,
Yeah.
that there's also other expansions into other areas of the world.
Yeah.
We also will have Sylvan Elf cultures, so they're not just limited to Wisconsin. They also will appear in other places in the world as well.
I think now we're going on a tangent, but the Giant supplement that was released quite recently. It had a story about a highborn raiding party on Khalid Ablan that ventured into one of the woods on their island and were assaulted by the Sylvan Elves. So even on their own homeland, they're not safe from their ancestors, it seems, or the Sylvan Elves. So they seem to be quite widespread around the world.
Yeah.
Doesn't it have like I haven't, was some time ago actually read all the fluff, but doesn't it have like kind of similar to the Games Workshop fluff with the world routes and everything? They can just kind of teleport between the woods or something like that.
I think
It rings a bell in my head when I say it.
Yeah, I think it's been hinted a little bit. I can't really recall where, and it could be that I'm connecting it to Games Workshop fluff here, but I seem to recall something like that too.
Yeah.
As a person on the background team, I don't remember.
All right. But
It's also been a while since I read the back.
yeah, and there's a lot of it. So, but I do agree that it rings a bell that it had some sort of means to traverse great distances using the forests. So yeah, that's gonna do it for my first pick. Shall we go with one of yours, Dweller?
Yeah, sure. The pick. Yeah, just like the intro to the Sylvan Elves book, I really find it's really nice. It's about this knight from Kingdom of Aquitaine making like a expedition into the woods, and stuff goes south pretty fast.
Yeah.
He gets captured and just sees like the culture from the inside of the Sylvans. It's a bit reminding of some stories from Games Workshop, but I actually think they actually capture like the mystery of the Fae and the Sylvans quite good in the story, I must say. I was quite impressed when I read it the first time.
Yeah, I agree. They really leaned into this like mystery, Fae mythology quite
And I
well.
think also it's like a picture of the Sylvanest where people can identify with it, because it's kind of like, yeah, this is how the Sylvanest are supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's a general consensus. It's
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how they present it as like an alien culture, like it's something that's not human, and the first person view really gives you a sense of that.
Yeah.
And I think with all the Night Age background, it's obviously subjective, and it's down to the person that's telling the story because of the style of the first person background.
Yeah.
But I think this works really well because you get a sense of the, as you say, like the Fae kind of elven vindictiveness that's not entirely human.
Yeah, they captured that very well with the Sylvan Elves, and I think the whole main story of the book does it a lot of justice, but especially the intro here.
Yeah.
So one thing that I want to note about the intro is that I think there's a prince that the Aquitaine are riding with, and the main guy is the bard that's accompanying them. But this prince that's killed in the intro, he is the brother of the king, I think, who was killed at
the Lion of Aquitaine, or
yeah, he was like a great hero, and he appears a little bit on a royal family tree of the Aquitaine faction. So we know a little bit more about him and his history. So I think
Actually, didn't know that.
I think there was something about him, something strange about him not becoming king. I think he died. Yeah, he was the eldest son, but he died before the previous king passed away. So the current king is the son of the second oldest son. I think was the gist of it. Was the gist of it? Because
Okay, so he was killed by the elf.
yeah, if this hadn't happened, it would have been he and his children that were king today instead.
Oh, cool. I didn't catch that, but I'm not so familiar with the Aquitaine stuff.
I'm not 100% sure on this, but I seem to recall that there was something that the line of succession was a bit messed up because he was killed here.
Ah, okay.
So
cool.
Sounds quite cool. If otherwise.
But I wanted to go to the back of the book.
Okay, so we
Um,
start with the beginning and move swiftly on to the end.
Yeah, I really like the story about the Forest King.
Yeah.
Where he kind of appears with there's the solitary trumpet note coming through the woods, and then this 4 meter tall kind of supernal of the forest with a big antlers kind of arrives and kills the duke. I think this one is it kind of harkens back to the old Ryan.
Yeah.
I really like that kind of world idea, and for me, this is the coolest part of the Sylvan Elves background in the army book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I agree.
I think I mean there was a part in that story where the bard Thomas, he was pretty much released from his captivity, or he escaped, but he later I understand that he was actually released so that he could run back to Aquitaine and gather up the army led by this duke.
Yeah.
So that they could kill the duke. So
Yeah.
he was
It's
he was like
they kind of set him up a bit to make a hunt.
yeah, he was like bait more or less to lure in the real catch into the forest. Which again speaks to this scheming and devious nature of the Fae. And I also think it's
a bit vicious.
yeah. I think it was established in the text about the Tree Father. Is that a pick for any of you? The Tree Father text?
Nope.
But because then I will just mention briefly that in it you actually read about this duke that's killed in the end, and how he ventured into the forest as a child and upset the forest. So it seems like all of this is just revenge for that thing he did as a child, where he killed one of a sapling of the tree fathers.
I quite like that kind of vindictive thing that the forest remembers, and
yeah, for sure.
There's also a really nice image of the Forest King. I think it's pretty early in the book. It's on page 11. Oh no, sorry, it's not page 11. If you guys keep going, I'll try and find it.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about, but yeah, it's a nice piece. So for my second pick,
there's a lot of nice pictures in the book actually.
Yeah,
the artwork is
fantastic.
Sure.
Just wanted to flick in.
This is something that continues to impress me about the Ninth Age. They do have a lot of nice artwork.
Yeah.
But my second pick is gonna tie into the Forest King a bit, because it's the about the Sylvan gods, or the elven gods in general then, because it seems that they have the same in a few aspects at least. And we don't get like a holistic presentation of the elven gods in this book. I'd like to see that someday. But we get some snippets and some descriptions of I think they're called the Holy Trinities. So you get like descriptions of groups of three. And the thing I like about the elven gods is that they are messed up. It seems really complicated and weird.
A bit like Greek mythology.
Yeah, exactly, and that makes it seem quite real, because it's so weird. Like Greek mythology, yeah, or Norse mythology, or Hinduism is also have this weird aspect of its different kinds
Yeah,
of
the gods are just crazy.
yeah. So what I mean about this is there seems to be two main gods, the All Father and the Phantom Queen. So I think they call Amhar and, yep, Morature, or something like that. And each of these has three different aspects of them. So they are like still the same god, but a little bit different. Three variants of them. And then these three variants of the two main gods have coupled together and have had children as the different aspects. So each of these three couples have one child, and these are or one daughter. So these are the divine daughters, and they have their own aspects and all of that. But then actually this Forest King complicates it further, because one of the aspects of the Allfather is Caderon, the hunter. But the Forest King is also known as Caderon. So they seem to be the same thing, but not quite. So it's like an aspect of an aspect. That's it gets so complicated. And then the Forest King also has children with another with the Forest Queen, which I think is one of the divine daughters.
Yeah.
So it's complicated, and that's what I like about it.
It kind of shows a little bit how the elves are not quite humans, because I think in a human sense you would want to make sense of this, but the fact that it doesn't really make a logical sense, as well as it because it's gods, it's also because it's like an alien thing that it's actually quite difficult for a human to understand.
Yeah. And it captures at the same time it does make them more alien, and it also makes them more realistic, because as we said, the gods in the real world are messed up. So I like that aspect of them.
Yeah, it works really well.
Okay, so Dweller, another pick from you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. What should I take? I'll take one of my favorite units of all times, the Blade Dancers.
Yeah. Those are nice.
Yeah, they are. The story's like, it reminds me a bit of the Black Library trilogy, Orion trilogy, when you follow a war dancer. It's kind of like the same, just this thing that they just this athletic like blur of death around you.
Yeah, they are doing some performance in the story.
Yeah, exactly. a performance, and it's like, yeah, there's no difference between the performance for like this, like a celebratory performance and what they actually do in war on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I like that the dancers like tell a story, and it's a way that they communicate.
Yeah,
They don't
Yeah.
communicate with words, but they can communicate these ideas with the dancers.
yeah, exactly. It's like like a play, more or less. I really like it's quite it's a cool idea, in my opinion.
I agree. The story actually in the book, it reminded me of the elves from the Aragon series, um, which
Many years since I read that.
yeah, Christopher Pauline, I think the author was, and they made a film
Yeah.
of it that was utterly terrible as far as I've heard.
Yeah, the
haven't-
movies are horrendous, but the books are actually quite good.
Yeah, as normal. But
Yeah.
I do recall that the elves there also had this storytelling aspect of dances, and like the dances like make you hallucinate more or less. You like see stuff that they as they dance, the things that they tell like come alive. And I got the same.
Yeah, kind of like warp some magic.
Yeah, and I got the same feel from these blade dancers.
Yeah.
So yeah, good pick. I very much like that unit too.
Yeah, also one of my favorite units.
Yeah, always been.
I
Yeah.
mean,
You just want to see them more on the battlefield.
But the picture of the Forest King is on page 57 of the book for the listeners that are following.
Yeah.
I think this is just the coolest artwork in the whole book.
He's standing in like an outline in front of the moon.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah, really badass looking.
Yeah, I don't really get. I don't think
Yeah,
you
Orion
get
/ Wild Huntsman ish. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, I don't really
Really
get,
ominous.
the sense of how big he is, but it is really awesome.
He has a few skulls about him
Yeah, I agree.
that like make him look quite large.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, cool artwork indeed. Do you have another pick, Henry?
Yes. So my next one is the Wild Huntsman.
Yeah.
I like these because I just like the way that they're described in the plot. They kind of say that they're just like the lads. They're just kind of like joking around, and they have like this haughty, arrogant nature.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like drinking and telling stories and laughing, and they're just kind of as I said, like they're just the lads, and I think it's quite funny, and I think it really reflects their nature. It's quite cool for me.
Yeah, they're cool. They seem to be like some outsiders to the main society.
Yeah, they're also kind of even the other elves kind of treat them a little bit with obviously with respect, but they also, as you say, they're like a different social caste almost.
Yeah. And I think, is it explicit that they are all male? I think their counterparts, the Briar Maidens, are all female. So I seem to recall that these were like an exclusive male order.
Yeah, I don't remember without reading it all through, but
it does ring a bell though when you say it.
Yeah, I think you could be right there.
Yeah, which is interesting. It's
I mean, with the Ninth Age, you usually get this kind of equal opportunities employer almost.
Yeah, and it's good to break that up a bit. I mean,
I agree.
I like that a lot of the factions do have like an outspoken, quite equal approach to the genders, but if everything is that way, it's not that impactful. Needs to have different approaches in different factions, I think. So I like that. But no, those are cool. I have one more little pick, and that's the tree spirits. So that those are the dryads, the thicket beasts, and the tree fathers and all that.
Tree fathers.
Um,
Ancient and avatars.
yeah. So what I like about this is there's a text in the scroll again that is about the tree spirits, or the Sylvan spirits, I think they call them also.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I like the most about the Ninth Age fluff, which is this unreliability, because the little text here about the Sylvan spirits, it's two conflicting theories about their origins, and it's presented as like a hearing where someone has written an article about one of these, and they are questioning him, like if he's worthy of, or if this is worthy of being posted, basically. So the different theories about their origins is one that they are supernal beings that have come to the mortal realm and like inhabited the forest parts. And this is like a new theory that he's presenting, and the others are like not liking that very much, because the old theory is that elves and trees like fused together a long time ago and created a new species, more or less. That now, so and the oldest are still these original elves. So the tree fathers are actually elves that fuse together with the forest, and then their children are the younger, the smaller spirits.
Yeah.
And we don't know which is correct. I think maybe you do, Henry, or you could know at least.
I do know, but I don't know if you want me to tell you or not.
No, I'd rather not know, because I really love it when they do these smoke screens and conflicting theories, because I think it shows the strength of this way of writing. And I mean, I want to see more of that. It's in the book, in the text about the tree father. I think they describe the tree father as if it looked like a fuse between elf and tree. So maybe that speaks to that being the truth. But even if they do look like that, maybe that's not their audience. So yeah, we don't really know, and I like that. And you can take that as you like, and implement it as you like in your army, basically.
Yeah, I think it also kind of hints at like what we want to see on the table, or what maybe some models are already like kind of obviously the Ninth Age has in mind the supporting companies and the existing model ranges, and we don't want to invalidate anyone's miniature collection.
Yeah.
So I would also say there's probably some treatment models out there, that tree father models out there that are like elven in shape and stuff, or elven in shape.
Yeah, I think a lot of the newer Games Workshop uh, tree stuff, the Sylvan Elves, have like elven creatures fused together with the trees.
Yeah, and also this
the revenants.
Yeah.
This like ambiguity kind of allows you to use a lot of different models.
Yeah, you could probably just use, I think, hassle-free miniature. Now we're getting ahead of ourselves. Has a few like fairies, more or less. So like naked women running around in the forest, and those could be suited well for dryads and things like that. So you can take different approaches to it.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my last pick as well.
All right, then I stole it. Do you have one more dweller, or are we through with background?
I do not.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah.
So we can maybe do some final thoughts on the background. Do we like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really nice. It's
Yeah, most definitely.
you can. I think the prelude to the Dread Elves book is maybe the fact that you can see that the Thomas the Bard is. I think this is his first part or his third part. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly.
it's this is one of his Tales of the Fae, I think it's called. So this is Beneath
Yeah.
the Burrows, and I think we've seen a short extract about the Hybern Elves, like beneath the or on the waves, something like that. So that's about his tome about Hybern Elves that I think we'll see more of in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's good to hear that he's being reused for the Dread Elves as well, like that when they reuse the narrators.
Yeah, it kind of gives them a bit more weight to what they're saying.
Yeah.
And you get a bit more of a sense of some characters in the world as well, which
Yeah,
is
and
not always.
continuity and all of that. It's good. Okay, so we'll move swiftly on to the rules then.
Yes.
The rules.
And we'll do one pick for good, one pick for bad, and one pick for gem. And good is something that you're likely to see in most armies, most competitive armies. It doesn't have to be the absolute best pick, but something that's frequent in those kind of armies. Bad is something that's you're not gonna see that often in those kind of armies, and gem is something that's
Yeah.
you're not gonna see that often, but that you think is actually quite good in some aspects at least. So
Yeah.
that's the idea. Do you want to go first, Dweller, with a good pick?
Sure. Good pick. Well, it has to be the secret piece, won't it? It's.
All right.
I think that's the only unit you actually see in every competitive list. They're just, yeah, they are that good. Just not much like shenanigans or many fun rules. They just have this really solid like stat line and set of rules. So yeah, I think you see them in every competitive list.
Yeah, they are
Actually.
probably the best anvil in the book. They are.
Yeah, not even probably by most
Yeah, by far, I guess.
sheer certainty.
Yeah,
Yep.
they definitely fill a role that no other unit can do. I think scoring is the hardest thing.
Exactly.
Scoring is the hardest thing for the Sylvan Elves to do. And
Oh hell yes.
this unit really does that very well. It's hard to shift. So if
Yeah.
you put it on an objective, it's difficult to get rid of it. There's lots of things that make it stubborn in the army, whether you're in a forest, whether you get a spell cast on you, or if you have a character in there. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a mainstay unit of every competitive Sylvan Elf list.
Yeah, especially with like a character as well, and with all the force and everything. If you stand them in the force, you need to kill every single wound in that unit before the break, more or less,
Yeah.
which is really powerful.
And they're not easy wounds to take.
No, they're not. Especially as I always, not always, but mostly I play Druidism with them, and Druidism in combination with the Sticky Piece is it's really good.
Yeah, they are tough to shift. Are they Resilience 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have 4 up
Yeah.
armor and a 5 up aegis.
Yeah, 4 armor, 5 up Aegis.
Those are tough.
Yeah, I actually hit quite good bag as well. They have 3 attacks at strength 5, so yeah.
Yeah, not too shabby.
It's not like this really big powerhouse when it comes to like dealing damage, but they do grind magnificently.
What's the armor penetration on
Yeah,
them?
they do hold the ground against most of the things in the game. It's like, yeah, an Imperial Guards will just run through them, and flaming attacks is still quite a bit of a problem. But yeah, I haven't had many games where they just die at all. Even normally they just tank half of my opponent's army, so I can flank.
Nice. Yeah, I faced them a few times, and I don't think I've killed them ever. So that's annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, good pick. They are a really strong unit.
Yeah, they did. I would say the strongest we have in the book. Actually,
Yeah,
by far, we do have some good choices, but the secret beasts they're just good.
yeah, always reliable and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, excellent. So what about you, Henry? Good.
So my good pick is going to be the Stag Lord Wild Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is probably not in every list, but it is really
You
good.
see me quite a lot, but yeah, not in every.
Yeah, exactly. So you do see him a lot. Like I'm running one at the moment. He just does the job that a lot of the other things in the army can't do. He can be a duelist. He can take on characters. He can do a lot of damage in a short space of time.
Yeah.
He has battle focus, lots of attack, and there's a few different ways that you can build him as well.
Okay.
I think it's a really good pick.
Isn't he quite exposed though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean his resilience 5. Usually you see him with Destiny's Call,
Yeah.
or you can also put Death Cheater on him if you want a bit more expensive.
Yeah. So he's a cowboy boy running around and
Yeah,
causing
exactly.
damage.
You can also hide him in units because he's
Yeah,
standard.
cowboy with frenzy, right?
Yeah.
Not the best.
In my last game, I failed my frenzy test turn 1 and charged the Forsaken one, and
The
luckily my dice were okay.
the
So
the Forsaken one you're painting right now or building right now.
yeah, the exact same one. It was on UB, so
All
but
right.
yeah, it was a bit hairy moment. I mean, he can do that, and you have to play around that by leaving him with a BSB or facing him away in the first couple of turns if you need to. But yeah, I really like it. It's also one of my
Yeah,
favorite
those.
models, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it as well. But I see like most builds. I don't look at lists that much, other people's lists, but most I've seen, if they don't have the Stag Lord, they do like the same build, but they put it on an Eagle King instead.
I,
Fly build is a bit easier to hide.
it's a really good damage dealer, isn't he?
Yeah.
It is. It is
How
a
many
good
attacks
damage.
does he have when he charge?
Depending on the
Is
base,
it like 9?
you have
Yeah, I
4 baits, one for Sylvan Blades, one for being a Wild Hunter. That's 7, and one when you charge. So 8 attacks on the charge.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, you
So
can also run it as a BSB, which is quite okay as well.
yeah, interesting. Um, though then you are putting a more points in him, I guess, and risk losing the BSB. But
Yeah, it's not something that I would
yeah,
do.
it all depends on what you one's opponents as well. If you beat an opponent with a lot of like artillery or ballistic shooting, yeah, then it's getting hard.
yeah,
Yeah, you need somewhere to hide him.
yeah,
If you don't, yeah, if you don't, then he'll just shine.
okay, nice. Okay, so for my pick, I'm gonna go with the most obvious pick because this is in every army because you can't actually opt out of it. So maybe I'm cheating here, but I want to talk about the Forest Follows. So as a Sylvan Elf player, you get to place a forest on the table, on your half of the table, unless I'm mistaken,
Exactly.
before
Yep.
deployment. So
Yeah.
that's quite powerful, in my experience.
Yeah, especially in combination with Thicket Beast.
Yeah, because then you place them in front of them and then just march in and be stubborn for ages.
Yeah, and they stand there in the middle of it. If you have like hold the middle, you
You place the
and
forest
it's
in the middle.
yeah, it's really good.
You're actually not allowed to put
Yeah.
the forest within 6 inches of an objective.
Yeah,
But
but you can put.
Yeah, but isn't it like a scenario where it's not an objective, you just need to hold the center ground?
I'm not sure.
I'm
I
not
need
sure.
to
making
I
this
don't
up.
think that's an objective marker, so maybe okay. But in any case, you can place it near there and then stand
Yeah.
because you need to be within 6 inches.
Yeah.
So you can just poke out a little bit with the unit, and then you're within
Yeah.
6 inches still.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's true. So do you usually, how do you place the forest? Do you try to create cover for your army or like a battleground for your fighter units?
It
Ideally, you kind of
depends
want to
on
do
what
both,
army
right?
I'm bringing.
Yeah. It really depends on who you're playing against and what the objective is and what kind of army you have. So ideally, you want to do both, right? But
Yeah.
maybe you don't necessarily need the cover if you're playing, let's say, warriors or beasters. Then maybe you'll put it where you're going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played at a tag team tournament not that long ago where I teamed up with a Sylvan Elf player, and we usually placed it in a shooting line and hid my handgunners in there, so that they got cover, and if someone tried to charge them, they would have to take the inner strain test, which is the other nice aspect of the forest, because all forests on the table are danger strain for everyone else, which is so annoying.
Yeah.
I've had many.
Yeah, people do tend to be afraid of that, but in reality, there's not that many models that actually die from it.
Yeah, although sometimes it happens. I do remember playing against you, Dweller, and I charged with a unit of Iron Orcs through a forest, and I think out of
A bunch of them
20
died.
Iron Orcs, like 12 died into the thicket star.
Yeah.
It didn't go well for the
Yeah,
Iron
you always
Orcs.
have those freak moments. I
Yeah.
love them. I had the same. I met Ogre Khans, and the big cavalry was it was like a little unit of 3, and they charged me, and he died one model, and exactly so I had to take a panic test and fled from the charge.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, like you say,
Yeah, that's
statistically,
quite
it doesn't
awesome.
do that much. It's 1 in 6 models dies.
No,
And
it's a nice little spice though when you get those moments.
yeah, and people do fear it. They always like, oh right, it's a forest. Do I want to charge here? And as soon as you can put such thoughts into your opponent's heads, it's good.
Yeah. It's a lot of mind game going on with the forest, especially with actually being able to move them as well. If you notice your opponent is really afraid of those dangerous trains, you can just play around with it.
Yeah, for sure. And against big infantry units, losing 1/6 of the unit is quite a big deal. So
yeah, and especially if you put it right and they want to get in there, it's like, yeah, if you want to shard something in the wood, then you'll lose the steadfast and all stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's
true.
Yeah, it's a really powerful mechanic to have.
For sure. Okay, so that's the good picks. So there are, of course, other things in the book that are good, but we'll leave the audience to figure that out for themselves. But we'll take a look at the bad picks.
Yeah.
So do you want to go first again, Dweller?
Yeah, I can go first. Let's see. I do have a few alternatives now, but I'll go with the Briar Maidens actually.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen them in any competitive list at all. I tried to use them myself. I do think that they're quite good when you have like a big unit of 10 with the champion and everything, but it's so much points. And it still bugs me that they actually go if you get the champion. In my opinion, they shouldn't go towards unseen arrows, because they do get a whole different role when they have the champion with the spells instead.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's a thing that's been bugging me since the book came out.
It's a lot of points that is sink into the unseen arrows for sure. That's not
Yeah.
really
Now,
contributing much to the shooting.
Now, especially if we want to go like with, should we call it the old-fashioned would have put Sylvan Elves gunline list with like with Sylvan archers and with sentinels and everything else. It's like they do these. There's no spot for the Briar Maidens when they're competing against those units.
Yeah. So they are a conclave. What spells do they have?
They have Forest Embrace, Break the Spirit, and Master of Earth.
Master of Earth. And there's one more, which I never remember because I never use it.
Those are
I
pretty
think
good.
it's the one in Druidism, which is the weapon skill one.
Entwining
I'm not
runes?
sure.
No, that's the Truth of Time from Cosmology.
Oh,
okay.
That's an awesome spell. I love that.
No, I know, but you never use it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I never use it. I was a unit. I never use it. Break the Spirit is the number one.
Yeah,
that
that's a
spell
great
is
spell.
so amazing against Sylvan Elves, especially if you combine it with the woods we get and all the force being there. It could be game changing if you get it in the right moment.
Yeah, and it's
and then I always
always
use Massive Earth just for it's always useful. And then I always use Massive Earth just because to get the attribute more or less.
Oh yeah, that's nice. So then you get the throne as well with them.
Yeah, you always get
the so you get
yeah.
So you get 2 thrones if you have I've tried to play a Briar Maidens, and I think it was a Master Druidist, and just those 2 thrones do actually also this time against the right opponent, because many opponents they like, oh no, you can't have that. They put a lot of so many dice in this throne, so if you can cast 2 of them, they like depleted their dice pool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Open Throne is that good on the Briar Maidens because there's only one spell from Druidism that is affected by it. But I can see the
No, it's not. It's more for the attributes that you actually can raise a model if you have it in more than just heal up a wound. I'm using. I always take Master of Earth, not per se to use Master of Earth, is to just attribute and heal up and raise stuff. With their mobility, they can always get in range in those things you need. Kind of beefed, especially if you play with like an avatar or a tree father or something. Getting that wound up on one of a model as them will make a huge difference.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And with the throne, raise a Wild Huntsman, which is like
that's a lot of
also
points.
really good.
And a lot of hurt.
Every Wild Huntsman is every model makes a huge difference in that unit. So
yeah. Okay, so Henry, your pick for bad.
Which one should I choose? I think I'm going to go for the magic items in general.
Okay.
There's a lot of magic items that are not pointed well, or they don't really fit in the book with the choices that you have.
Yeah.
Let's say like the Curse of the Black Stag, for example. You don't really want to put this on your Wild Hunter, because if you put this on a Wild Hunter, he can't take another piece of armor.
What can you explain what the Curse of the Black Stag is?
So the Curse of the Black Stag is an armor enchantment, and I believe it gives you devastating charge, +1 attack, +1 strength, and +1 defensive skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
And this means that obviously when you're getting your Stag Lord in there with his, what did we say, 8 attacks on the charge, this could potentially give you another attack on the charge. So obviously it's kind of an item that would work really well with him. But if you take it, then he's unprotected. So it's not really like a very good design, because the model that you want to take it on, you will never take it on. So I think for me, the only thing that you would take it on is like a guy and a dragon. And I think it's a bit of a waste in that respect. It's the dragon that does the killing, and then you have to pay for a magic weapon and. So it's not. This item is not that good. The other items like both the magic bows are a bit lackluster. You're better off just taking like a Pathfinder character. The artifacts are reasonably good, but they're just really expensive. So they're kind of priced out of use in most cases. I do like them, but as I said, they're just a bit expensive. And the builds that you can do are not really that good. And then you're kind of taking a caddy almost, take one of these items. So yeah, for me, the whole character section needs a rework because of the magic items. And that also kind of extends to the aspect of nature as well.
Yeah.
The open crown is really good, but I think that the others are a bit rubbish. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my list of bad, there was the kindreds that I also think suffer a bit from this. A lot of them are.
Yeah, there's one in particular that I have.
There are a lot
I'll
of
let
them
you guys
that you don't see. But I think if we're finished with the items, I think my pick is gonna be Pathfinders for bad.
Yeah.
This is one of the few units that I have experience with playing, because as I said, I played a tag team tournament with a Sylvan Elf army as a companion, and we had a unit of 5 Pathfinders, and they were so rubbish.
Bye.
I mean, I guess we talked earlier about the forest, and in that there is worth in people being afraid of the dangerous terrain test, and people were very afraid of the Pathfinders, so I guess there's value in that. They always, if you put them down on the table, they always put the armored stuff on the other side of the table. But the few times we did get to shoot with them, they like didn't do anything. We had a really important.
No, 5 is a few number.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's still, it was so disappointing every time they actually fired. On one flank we were faced with a big unit of Knights of the Realm, and we used pyromancy and handgunners, and managed to take down like 4 or 5 knights with some lucky rolls. And then the Pathfinder shot with their super high AP and killed 1 knight. Yeah, thank you for the contribution, but it's still it. They didn't feel that powerful for how much they cost, and I think that they compete a lot with the
price.
It's the price, and they compete a lot with the Sentinels. And I think the Sentinels have another value. The Pathfinders are supposed to be good against armor, but they're not really that strong against them, I feel. While the Sentinels have their poison, and that really makes them good against high resilience targets.
Yeah, especially poison with AP1, right?
Yeah. And then, as I say, AP1, all the archery in the Sylvan Elf book has AP1, so you are actually quite good against high armor targets. You are disappearing again. Are you far away from your mic? Weller.
Mic on my head. I'm trying. It's better now.
Excellent.
Yeah. No, they changed it to 2.0, I think, because I think the Roosters thought that poison with AP1 was too powerful, so they went quite a while without an AP.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
But I think in general, Sylvan Elves don't struggle that much against high armor because the shooting can like wither it down bit by bit. But I'm not sure.
That's I would say against 2+, it doesn't struggle too much.
Yeah,
Against 1+,
yeah,
we struggle a lot.
that's true. That's true. The one-up armor is a big problem, I guess, because then
Yeah.
most things are AP1 in Sylvan Elves, but against one-up that doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, those are just a pain to.
You agree?
Happy kitten. Okay, so that's all
craving attention.
that's all the bad picks. Do we want to get into what I think is the most interesting, the gem section?
Go for it.
Gems.
So yeah, I think we'll keep the rhythm going. So you'll go first, Dweller.
Yes. What to pick? There's actually quite a few of them. I must say, but I would say Blade Dancers would be my game.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't see too many people using them. They are a really nice toolbox to have in a list, in my opinion. People do tend to forget with dances and everything, and them being on foot and light grips, they are actually stubborn in a forest.
Yeah.
And that combined with the 3+ Aegis dance is insanely powerful against the right target. It can soak most charges up, monsters or whatever. And then they do have a significant damage output.
Yeah.
And again, they are also really good against high armor with the dance that came in 2.0.
Yeah, they can get lethal strike.
There's like strength 4, AP3 or 4, and lethal strike. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And also, they do have hard target. They do have the magic press. In comparison to Pathfinders who die from one fireball.
Yeah.
But they do. If you focus them, they're gonna die. But it's not that 5-man fast cab unit with bows won't shoot out the unit. So yeah, Blade Dancers would be my pick, most definitely.
Yeah, I agree that they're also on my list of the things that I chose, and yeah, I think they're really strong as well.
Yeah,
they're kind of under.
Character is not, though, in my opinion. If you take a chieftain and take the Blade as a kindred, he's as a unit champion. So I don't see it. They do get Swift Strike from him, which is really nice. But in my opinion, they should have their rule in.
Can I go next?
Yeah, we're having a bit of a connection issue, but I think we'll just power through. But yeah, I agree with the Blade Dancers. I faced them a few times,
Okay.
and they are annoying. Though they do succumb to very large amounts of Nashers. They don't like that.
Yeah, they can't grind too well.
No.
I mean, if you're
No, it's like if you charge, you can have that. Yeah, as soon as it's with most things in the Sylvan's book, if you take damage back, you're gonna die.
Yeah, and the Nashers do dish it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool unit, and it does some heavy lifting in the right conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, so Henry.
my gem is the Eagle King.
Ooh, interesting.
I've been using it for a wizard mount. I've been using it for a character mount.
Nice.
I think it's really fun. The stats that you get compared to an eagle.
Sorry, this cat is just amazing. But you did say it was a demon cat, and it seems to be true, Dweller. But yeah, continue, Henry.
Yeah, the extra stats that you get for being an Eagle King, like the extra attack, the extra strength, and the hard target, is sneaky good.
Yeah, it is really, and a lot of people don't really know it. So just I'm gonna shoot this. Yeah, it's a hard target, blah blah blah, and then 4 HP and everything. And the eagle actually hits quite hard if it actually comes into combat.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do agree. Also, I've also used the Eagle King as a druid mount actually in my latest list, and sure, it doesn't have that armor or anything because it's a druid, but I do find the survivability manageable, especially with the amount of HP and the hard target. And it's quite cheap as well.
40 points for the character upgrade. On the druid.
40 points just for the flying mount.
Yep.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so it's quite cheap. You can also just like run it behind a rock if you're afraid.
Yeah, it's really easy to hide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and depending on what magic path you go with, me with druid is healing waters on it, then it can soak quite a amount of shooting damage.
I actually use the shamanism one because then you get the scarification in combat.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And if you really want to pull it out, you can put Hero's Heart and Guide Weapons on it.
Exactly what I was about to say. It's a really nice setup to have. It actually dishes out the good damage with Hero's Heart.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Veil of the Ages, the video game for the Ninth Age. But in their game, the Arena,
not too much, no.
They had a druid that you could pick as your champion and play with them. And all of these champion series builds from the Ninth Age, and this druid build was on foot though, but it was surprisingly tough. It had scarification, of course, but then it had some weapon that dished out lethal strike, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the Sylvan Elf weapons.
Yeah, but it was really quite nasty with that one. So he bested quite a lot of the champions in the arena. I was really impressed with that guy.
Cool.
So yeah, good pick. I definitely think that the putting especially wizards,
Eagle
I think,
King.
on flying mounts is always really cool, and especially if you can get them up to some sort of combat prowess. They are so much fun. I do that with a wyvern in my Oaks and Goblins, and it's just hilarious all the time.
I think the good thing about
it's fun to play.
Yeah.
The good thing about shamanism as well is that the spells, most of them are quite long range.
Yeah, and that's true.
You can if you want to.
Yeah, the swarm of insects is 24, but you can boost it to 48, I think. That's really good, and a lot of the spells are that
Break
way.
Spirit is also a long range on.
Yep. Okay, so cool pick. My pick is also going to be a flying unit, more or less. It's mostly a magic item though, and it's the Banner of the Silent Mist on a unit of Kestrel Knights.
Yeah.
I've faced this a few times. So it's a flying unit then, and the Banner of the Silent Mist makes it that is it within 6 inches, the opponent cannot use
Yeah, you can't
their
use a musician.
musicians. So that sounds like okay,
And
whatever.
especially it gives the unit soft cover.
Yeah, that too. So it protects the units a little bit. But this turning off the musician, at first you're like, okay, whatever. That doesn't sound that important. But then you realize you can't
It's really
make
powerful.
swift reforms, and
Exactly.
you lose so much maneuverability, especially to handle units like the Kestrel Knights. So they like fly behind you, and then you can't
Yeah.
turn around and shoot at them, and they are really really annoying.
Yeah, if you leave a gap in your deployment, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, for sure, because they are so quick, but they are fly 918 and Vanguard,
Yeah.
so they have a good chance of getting in there, and when they do, the are just gonna annoy the heck out of you.
Yeah, they actually do dish out quite a lot of damage in
Yeah,
combat as well.
the Kestrel Knights were one of the units that we had
Um,
in the army that I played with, the shooting kind actually, but they ran into combat all the time and just
What?
killed. They charged a unit
Why did you
of.
go with the shooting kind?
He made a mistake. He didn't mean to, but in the list writing something
All
went
right.
wrong.
Yep.
So it wasn't the intention, but he did that, and they did do some good shooting too in some game. But in one game they charged into the flank of a unit of Grail Knights and like ground them down over the course of like 3 combat rounds. There weren't that many left, but they almost killed them. Which, I mean, if they had, it would have been amazing. But they did a very, very good job of like
They
handling
quite
that unit
should
for
have.
us.
With the spears and everything on the charge, they do have. Is it 2 attacks each?
Yeah, and
Strength 5, AP 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are quite capable of taking down a unit.
Yeah,
How big unit did you go with?
3. So it wasn't that
3. All right. I
impressive
was
unit,
on a 5 or 6.
but it was a lot of lucky dice roll in that situation. They shouldn't have been that good against the Grey Knights. Especially I think the Grey Knights had the stone skin on them quite a lot of the time.
All right.
So we're wounding on 6s, but they didn't care about that. They just killed. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I love dice. So yeah, the Banner of the Silent Mist on Kestrel Knights is my pick.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really good. Quite costly. So
Yeah.
I run a unit of 6, and it costs quite a lot, but it's a really fun unit to use. And especially if you go with like a character on Eagle King or something, you can actually put it in the unit.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could go with this flying circus kind of list. I don't think that list would be bad per se. Probably not like highly competitive, but it would surely be a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, and that's what the gem picks are all about. So
Yeah.
okay, that rounds out the rules section. Do we have any closing thoughts on the rules?
Yeah, I can speak about Sylvan Elves for like ever, but yeah, yeah, I don't know. No, yeah, let's leave it there.
Okay, yeah, sure. So we'll move on to miniatures.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised. I had a hard time finding miniatures for this.
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's a
I can
very
understand.
common concept. I think like forest dwelling elves.
Elves.
So I was
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised that it was that hard to find cool minis for it. But I have a few
Yeah.
I have a few picks. Shall we start with Henry this time?
Yeah, sure. I also found this really difficult because my Sylvan Elf army is actually about 90% converted.
Yeah.
So
Oh, sweet.
I looked at my miniature cabinet and I was like, well, I can't really talk about this because it's converted out of 3 different kits. I can't really talk about this because I converted it out of this. So I actually went a little different path. I just went with some of my favorite miniatures.
Yeah.
So the first one that I wanted to mention was a company called Hidden Dreams. I don't think they're making any miniatures anymore. They made a shapeshifter that was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool model.
Indeed.
Yeah, it was like a bit of a one-hit wonder, I think, with them, but it's super nice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the one that's based on the cover art of the. No, not the cover art, but it's based on one of the artworks of a shapeshifter lord in the book.
Yeah, it's on page 40 of the Sylvan Elf book, and I actually converted this model as well, but it's still one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's a really.
I did a bit of a weapon swap.
Okay, cool.
I'll send you a couple of pictures of my model after, and I guess you can put it up on the show at the right time.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Excellent. But yeah, that's an excellent pick. I don't think they are, as I say, I don't think they are doing any more miniatures, and they don't really have a website. I think so you have to like contact them through Facebook. I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But I do think you can still get a hold of those miniatures. I will put some information.
Are we doing more than one, or?
Yeah, I think 2 or 3.
Should we take it in turns?
But we take them in turns.
Okay.
So cool. We'll go with Dweller now.
Yeah, well, I started my army back in the Warhammer 8th edition days, so I do have quite exclusively Games Workshop miniatures. So I do have some others, but as I said, it's really hard to find like alternative miniatures. So I've always also gone down on like the conversion part of it lately. But it do need to be said that the Games Workshop miniatures for Sylvan Elves are really, I would say, my favorite is still the Current Hunter kit for Stickit Beasts. Yeah. Those ranked up on square basis it's just really, really cool.
For sure.
And also you can check out my, I think it's my Facebook page now. I've actually uploaded most of my Sylvan Elves there, Dweller from the North on Facebook.
Yep, I linked that down below as well.
Because that unit is, it looks really good. So I would say, the Colonel Thunders would be my first pick for it. For nice miniatures, not.
I also have the same miniatures for my Stickit Beasts, but I've, as always, converted them so that they don't have weapons. They just have like 3 hands.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I thought of that, but then I just saw the sights and I was like, I need to have those. It looks so menacing.
Nice. No, those are really awesome models for sure. We mentioned this range of Sylvaneth before, and there are some cool miniatures there.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, I do. I think I have like every model. I do own some of the Revenants, but I don't use them for anything. But I do use like the Drycha model for a Tree Father, for example, and I do still have the Avatar. And they do look really good, those miniatures.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so it's time for a pick of mine. So I'm gonna pick a unit from, let's see here, Dead Earth Games. They have sell a unit of Stag Riders, which I think make for perfect Wild Huntsmen. The only issue, I guess, is we talked about before that the Wild Huntsmen were an exclusively male group. These seem to be all female. But it's a really cool kit.
Work.
Yeah. You can always imagine some cultures of the Sylvan Elves where that is not the case. That's not really an issue.
What's your narrative?
Metal models, though, in a few parts multi-part. I wish I could share my screen, but yeah, they look really quite nice.
They look a bit more moosey than deer, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think they're more like reindeer.
Yeah.
More than like just normal deers. So it's a cool look.
Yeah, I think these are quite nice.
And it's an awesome unit to have in the army. So why wouldn't you want some
Yeah.
some wild
Those are
huntsmen?
they're just crazy good.
Okay, so Henry.
In general, I do like the Games Workshop Sylvan Elves models,
Yeah.
but they always just feel a little bit lackluster for me. But there is one range of Sylvan Elf models from Games Workshop that I do really like, and that's the classic Glade Riders
Yeah.
from, I think, back in
Yeah.
5th edition. So I hunted 12 of these down on eBay over some time
Ooh.
and some money. My
Yeah.
with the Sylvan Lance and Shield are made from these guys. Again, I will send you a picture so you can see my unit champion. And I've also painted them in a way where the horses are kind of like a dappled color. It's taking inspiration from some old image in a White Dwarf because I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
But yeah, these are some of my
Nice.
favorite Sylvan Elf models.
So they are old metal
Old
Games
old
Workshop.
5th edition metal Games Workshop ones with the dirty horses.
All right. No, they did some very characterful models back then, for sure.
I actually prefer a lot of their older
Yeah.
ones to the newer ones.
Yeah.
Which is why I've
Yeah.
converted to
I
Power Army.
totally.
Yeah, I can hear that. I usually when I do these shows, I sit here and paint miniatures, and one of my intentions is to spread the information about what miniatures are out there while painting. The problem is that often I paint like really old out of production miniatures, so it's really no point in telling people about those. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Unless you want to spend a fortune on eBay.
Yeah.
On the subject of Heath Riders, I recently converted some Doomfire Warlock Games
Yeah.
Workshop to be my like Heath
Nice.
Hunter, and they were like a lot of work, but they turned out really well.
Nice.
I can imagine. Yeah, that kit is actually really good. I do use the should we call it standard Glade Rider kit
Yeah, the
from Games Workshop.
newer
But that's
plastic.
most because I have 30 of them. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I
They're a little bit difficult
so
to
yeah.
track down these days, though. That box.
Yeah.
I have had to hunt down one box. The rest I actually had before everything went out of production. So yeah, it still costs quite a lot, but I just need it, and yeah, I do have 30 of them now, so I will never have to build or paint one again. Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right. So yeah,
My turn.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll actually take a mount. It's a miniature I've made quite recently, and it's the owl mount from Cool Mini or Not. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, this one is so cool.
It's
Okay,
like this elven.
now I have to put my brush down and Google this because I was looking for this. I think I was looking for this miniature before the show, but I couldn't find it. So cool miniature, not owl. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
It's also out of production. I had to buy it on the Swedish version of eBay, and it cost a fortune, but it was worth it.
yeah, the one with
I'll take a picture of it. I haven't actually.
with the big wings sloping down, he's sitting on a rune stone. That one.
Exactly.
Elf Maiden of Snow. Yeah, that's
Um,
an awesome model.
that's the one.
I
Yeah. So
went.
I've actually made that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted this model as well, but I don't have it because for the same reason as
Really
you.
good.
It's hard to track
I can
down.
say that.
It's expensive.
Yeah. I just was fortunate that it was a guy that lived nearby that actually had it. So yeah, paid quite a lot for it, but it's worth it. It was worth it. It's a really good looking model in real life. I was not disappointed.
I think I've
If
seen it
you
at
if you
a
want an
tournament.
alternative,
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
you
you
wanted
haven't. I'm sorry.
if you want an alternative to this miniature, you really like the idea of having like an owl mounted character. Atlantis
It was more like yeah.
Atlantis Miniatures just did a Kickstarter not too long ago, and I think it will soon be retailing. They did an owl mount that they're doing, and I've got in on that Kickstarter with the owl mount. So hopefully, I will also have an owl mounted character soon as well. So
Nice.
look out for that if
Nice.
you're interested in an owl mount for your Wood Elves or Sylvan Elves.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it really works with for in my case a druid on an Eagle King mount. I think it works really well for it. It looks like a druid,
Yeah, the owls
and
have
not something else.
always been like the wisdom bird.
Exactly.
So it fits very well with the wizard.
Yeah, and it's a really cool looking model. Very dynamic.
What I was gonna say was I have seen the model on the tournament scene, not yours.
Yeah, exactly,
Unfortunately,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
I do remember seeing it at a tournament in Gothenburg many years ago, and that's why I wanted to, in preparation for this episode, I wanted to find that, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm really happy that you brought it up because it's such a beautiful model.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing. It's just I converted just Kit bashed and converted the druid on it because it's quite small compared to
Yeah,
the rest of my army, which is Games Workshop heroic.
yeah,
I'm sure other people have the same difficulties while using on their miniatures.
yeah.
um, but yeah, it's a really good looking model.
Indeed. Okay, so I only have one more pick, and it's I mentioned Hassle-Free Miniatures briefly, and this one is their Oberon miniature, and it's quite similar to this Cadaron image in the book that we talked about. So it's a big dude with antlers, only he doesn't have any pants, so it's not safe for work. I can say that.
I have this miniature actually in my Beastheads army.
Yeah, nice. But it's a really cool model. I think it could do well as a shapeshifter lord.
Yeah, for sure. If you give him a couple of weapons.
Yeah. And he looks pretty badass. And if you want, you could sculpt some loincloth on him or something. But he works well as is, I guess. So yeah, that's my last pick. Do you have any more kits you want to highlight?
Yeah. So my final pick is a bit of an alternative one. I have a Blade Dancer character, or I think it's called like a Sylvan Elf or a Wood Elf Chieftain or something. It's from a company called Warplock Miniatures,
What was that?
and it's like Warplock Miniatures. No,
Warclock.
sorry, Warplock.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's Warplock. And to like jumping with a big axe. Let me just
Okay.
check it. I think it's Warplock Miniatures. It's from the like Feral Elf range. And it's super nice. I use it as a Blade Dancer character at Warplock Miniatures, and it is called Wild Elves is their range, and they actually have quite like some really cool models, like Blade Dancer type models.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
quite nice.
Shapeshifters, like a stag, all sorts of stuff. And I have the. It's called a. I can't find it now. I don't see it. Maybe it's now out of print. But they have some really nice. Oh, here we go. Wild Elf Ascendant.
Okay. Sounds like something like a shapeshifter. Something.
Yeah, it's basically a blade dancer with like a big mohawk and a big axe.
Okay.
But they have some really nice other Sylvan Elf stuff, so definitely check those out. So Warplock Miniatures Wild Elves.
Oh, I have to check them out. This is excellent entertainment.
Yeah.
Wild elves. Oh yeah, this is nice. So very very lithe elves, I think.
Yeah. If you wanted to go for the feral kind of Sylvan Elf theme, then these would be perfect.
Yeah, leaning into this mystical alien stuff. It's awesome for that. Okay, excellent. Do you have one more, Dweller? Or do we want to wrap this up?
Yeah, one I actually still out of production, but the Games Workshop Blade Dancers, especially with the 3 special edition ones.
Yeah, those who are really
Those models are
dancing,
just so cool.
dancing at hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that's why I've always used Blade Dance as well, because I have all of the unique models.
Yeah, nice.
And it just looks so freaking cool. Quite a joy to paint as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's I've been sometimes in my darkest hours I've been tempted to paint elven miniatures, and those are one of the most tempting. I have actually succumbed once. I painted up the Sword of Twilight from the Mordheim model. That's a really beautiful sculpt.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
And it's sort of the same era. No, that's a lot older. Take that back. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a distinct style on the elves.
Yeah,
back in those days, which is I like quite a lot.
Okay. So I think we'll wrap this up at that. There's quite a lot of miniatures out there on the market, but a lot of it is unfortunately out of production. So
yeah. Hopefully we'll see something more coming up in the future.
Yeah.
I saw the Oathmark elves from Frostgrave. I think it's Frostgrave. They're new on the market. They're like a little bit classic. I think they're coming out with a new Sylvan Elf range or Elf range.
Is it
cool.
is that the same as Fireforge, or is that I can't recall.
Not sure.
Fireforged, I know, released one like hero miniature for Sylvan Elves, a ranger, I think it was called.
Yeah, I think this is different. I think
okay.
I think it's Frostgrave that
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
but
I think they call it Oathmark, but they look quite cool. They're like a nice new unit that's coming out.
Yeah, nice.
It's available.
Yeah, it's an aesthetic that's very appealing, and I think can attract a lot of different companies to make a stab at. So hopefully we'll see more of that in the future.
Yeah.
So do you want to catch up on your painting, starting with you, Henry? How have you been going?
I'm going pretty well. I've done the skin on this guy, and I'm just starting with the red armor. I don't know how much you can see from here.
Yeah, certainly a lot of red armor.
Yeah, it's a Doom Lord for my Warriors army, and it's like an old Games Workshop Khorne army.
Yeah.
So it's all the armor is red and skulls and stuff.
Nice.
Sweet.
How about you, Dweller?
Let's see. I can see the camera. All right, it's on. Quite well. I'm not used to batch painting stuff, but
It seems to
Yeah, get in there.
be the copper has been painted, I think, since
Yeah, exactly.
nice. That's a
I've
really
been
cool.
painting copper this whole session on quite a few of those stupid dwarfs.
Yeah, that's a really cool scheme you got there with the copper and the purple. Works well together, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully. We'll see when it's ready. As I said, this is just like a speed painting project, so I won't put too much love in every miniature, but I do hope it will have quite an impact on the big whole. If you just look at the army, we'll see.
Yeah,
how it turns out.
I think it looks promising. Look forward to seeing that whenever we get back to having tournaments again.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
So for myself, I've painted up a grand total of 9 shields. Hooray! But it's getting there. They are taking. I'm doing quite a lot of weathering on them, so it takes some time. But they look nice. I'm hopeful that I will be able to finish it out. I think I have. This is about half of the shields painted now, so some way to go, but it's getting there.
Sweet.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't see.
No, I have some technical difficulties, so only the audience can see, but you guys can't. Which is it's a shame. Hopefully I can figure that out for the next episode. But I think that only leaves me to thank you guys for coming on. It's been good having you.
You're welcome. It's been nice to be here again.
Yeah, I hope to have both of you on again sometime in the future.
It's only to shout.
Awesome. And I'll offer my thanks to all of those in the audience for watching. Happy to have you on. As usual, please leave a comment if you have been painting during the show. Let us know what you've been working on. That's always nice to hear. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye bye.